let's shift focus. It seems like the 99 Rand debit order scam just won't go away. South Africans have been dealing with the problem for at least the last 4 years. So what do you do if you are a victim of this scam? We are joined by Kwanda Vabaza, an adjudicator in the Office of the Ombudsman for Banking Services. Thank you so much, Mr. Vabaza, for coming through and for your patience while we were working our way through some of the stories we had to cover today. This 99 Rand scam, I mean, I see people complaining about it, and I say the last 4 years, but actually it seems it's been going on for much, much longer. It's so bad that you in your office have now decided to make it an independent line item. You no longer cover it as part of the other transactions that people complain about, right?
That is correct. Firstly, I would like to thank you for inviting us. Yes, debit orders have become such a problem that, yes, we needed to allocate for them a separate dispute category. But I must say, though, we are trying to address them, and banks are helping the customers to address or reverse those debit orders.
So this now means that in your statistics, you set it apart. You basically, if we use the analogy of the crime statistics, you'll no longer, be calling it quote unquote contact crimes, but actually it becomes a crime like assault, a specific crime. So how bad? What are the statistics and the figures and the picture that emerges from those, even if you don't quote the specific numbers?
To be honest, yes, back in the days, yes, it was a problem. It was a huge problem, the debit orders. But currently, I think in October, we're about 200 debit order disputes that came through to our office. I think most of them are resolved by the banks before they come to us. Yes.
How does this scam work? And are you in agreement that from your experience of the disputes that you deal with, that this is a scam?
Yes, it is a scam, and I will tell you why. Firstly, by definition, a debit order is an agreement between a bank customer and a company authorizing that company to debit the customer's account for goods or services rendered. Now, obviously, if that customer has not authorized that debit order, but that company is still debiting that account, then it is a fraudulent transaction, it is a scam, and there are apparently businesses that are obviously busy doing such scams.
As you mentioned that, did you discern a pattern? Are you starting to get to understand which are these businesses that are usually involved whenever there's a dispute from a customer that says, hey, 99 Rand is deducted from my account, but I don't know who these people are? Do you have names that keep cropping up in your interactions?
Yes, there are companies, yes, that keep on cropping up. However, the banks, I think the banks, they're better equipped to identify those companies and to report those companies to PASA if those companies continue transgressing the debit order system. I think PASA will have better information as to which companies are involved and how many of those companies have been listed in the database of the companies that abuse the debit order system.
PASA is the Payments Association.
It is correct, the Payment Association of South Africa.
South Africa.
Yes.
Talk to me about the role of the bank here, Mr. Vabaza. I mean, one of the frustrations of the customers is that it's then now my responsibility to get this, removed and get it cancelled. And, sometimes you don't get the kind of cooperation that you would expect from the bank. Do you come across such complaints from customers? And what do the banks say?
Yes, we do come across such complaints. I think by definition, you would have noticed that that agreement, debit order agreement, it is between obviously the bank customer and that company that they authorize to debit their account. Now, the bank is not involved in that agreement. And because the bank is not involved in that agreement, the bank will not know. And they process millions of debit orders a day. So they won't know which debit order is fraudulent or which one is authorized. Up until the customer goes to their bank, and then that's where the bank comes into play. When the customer has identified a fraudulent debit order, they will go to their bank, report to their bank that they've not authorized that debit order, and then there will be a duty on the bank to either investigate. And again, if you report that debit order within 40 days, the bank will immediately reverse that debit order. Once they've immediately reversed that debit order and find that, yes, it was unauthorized, they won't obviously charge you a fee for that debit order. Now, it's different if you report the debit order after 40 days, then, because then the banks, there is a process that they need to follow. They first need to send that dispute to the bank of the merchant. The bank of the merchant will then give the merchant 30 days to provide them with authorization for that debit order. If that merchant is unable to provide the authorization, then the merchant will have to manually refund the customer.
So it gets more complicated after 40 days.
It becomes more complicated.
And I suspect then you would have advice for people at home. What should we do to reduce the risk of falling victim to this scam? Is there anything we can do?
I think the best would be, it's more preventive. I think it's more reactive, actually, what you can do.
Unfortunately, after the fact.
It's after the fact. You can't, unfortunately, you can't stop these rogue companies from debiting your account.
There's a problem there, isn't there?
There is a problem, but you as a customer also have a duty to go through your account statements and to report if you identify an unauthorized debit order, you need to immediately report it to your bank, and then your bank will definitely reverse that debit order.
So I guess what I'm asking you is, from what your customers have been telling you,
yes,
is there a policy or a practice gap there that perhaps says before this bank can facilitate the debit order, whether I authorize it or not, actually this conversation needs to involve the bank and myself as the customer? Have you been hearing that a lot?
Yes, I have been. I've heard that, and PASA has introduced a new debit order system. It's called debit check. Now, debit check basically means that before your bank can debit your account, they will first come to you, the customer, and ask for request for confirmation if you have authorized that debit order. So only you as a customer, after you've confirmed that yes, you have authorized that debit order, will they allow that debit order to go through. So before that, and again, it also depends on whether the user, the merchant, is also registered or has signed up for debit check. So.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for coming through and for all your insights. I mean, I think it really is an important conversation to have. That is Kwanda Vabaza, who is an adjudicator in the Office of the Ombudsman for Banking Services.